Welcome back guys to exercise training session. And in last session we discussed about what is SSIS and where it fits and why we need SSIS and so on, right? Basically SSIS is used to move the data from multiple sources to one destination. In this in this session we will continue with the discussion on SSIS. Before going to that, I told you that we will go cover installation part, installing software into your local computers. I'm not going to cover that as it is going to take something around 20 minutes. So that is why I'm suggesting two things. One is you can go to the site. I'm going to give you the link in msbiguide.com. You have an option. You have an article under articles in SQL Server. If you go there, you will find an article saying how to install SQL Server software. And you can go through that. It's given step by step, and I'm sharing the link with you guys. In chat box I have shared, and you can see everything is given screen by screen. So this is one option, and the second option is you can go to YouTube and you can search for Microsoft BI training part 2. In training part 2 you have an option, this particular part is discussed, that is how to install SQL Server with MSBI. Just follow either one of these two and try to install, and if you face any issues, I'll try to do by when you share your screen. I'll try to install software in your computer. Okay. Now let's continue the discussion. You take care of the installation part, and if you have any queries, as I told you, you can ask me anytime. You can ping me. And why? Because I don't want to waste time in installing and explaining the software installation part, which is not of high priority, right? And let's continue the discussion. Once you install the software, you have to find out whether the software is installed properly or not. That is the first check that you have to do. So how you can do that? How you can check whether all the features in the sense, all the tools are installed properly or not? You need to have a check before confirming that the software is installed properly. So when you install SQL Server software with Microsoft BI, you need to get the following. One is SQL Server. You're able to see the color is pretty odd. Let me change the color. So the first one is you should get SQL Server, and the second one is you should get SSIS part. Third one is SSAS, and fourth one is SSRS, and you also need to get BIDS, Business Intelligence Development Studio. You need to make sure that all these parts are installed properly. And now I'm going to show you where you can confirm, where you can check and confirm whether everything is installed properly or not. Once the installation is done, you have to go to Start. This is Windows 8, a little different compared to Windows 7 and previous versions of Windows OS. So what you need to do is you have to go to Start, and if you have already installed, you can do it parallelly when I'm explaining you guys. You have to go to Start, and you'll find All Programs option. In All Programs, you'll find Microsoft SQL Server folder. A folder with Microsoft SQL Server, some version name. If you install SQL Server 2008 R2, it will be like a Microsoft SQL Server 2008 R2. Or if you have installed a 2008 version, then it will be Microsoft SQL Server 2008 and similarly 2005. So you can find a folder where you'll find, in that folder, there will be one more subfolder called Configuration Tools. If you go to the Configuration Tools, there you will find so many options. One among those is SQL Server Configuration Manager. This is Windows 8, and that is why it looks a little different compared to other OS. So you can see this is the option I'm talking about, SQL Server Configuration Manager. The same option will be available in other OS, OS before Windows 8, earlier to Windows 8, in the following part. That is Start, All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server version number, in the Configuration Tools, and in that folder this option will be available. You just click on that option. So if you click on that option, it will open the page where all the services will be running. You can see SQL Server services. If you select this, it will list you all the services that are installed with the installation of your SQL Server. Now Using these services, you can say whether it is installed properly or not. Before going to that, how to confirm whether it is installed properly or not, what is a service? We need to understand that, right? So the service means this is the driving point where all the functionality that will be written and it will be running as a service in your computer, which drives the particular tool. For example, if you see, you have a SQL Server integration services, one service for SQL Server integration services, which means in short it is SSIS. And you can see one service for SQL Server and one service for analysis services and one service for reporting services. So that means for every service, for every tool in the SQL Server and Microsoft BI, you have one service running here. So what it is going to do is it is going to help in driving the particular tool. All the functionality that is related, that is required to drive the particular tool, the deployments, the maintenance, and everything will be available in this particular service. And if this service is not running, or if the service is not installed properly, then you cannot work on that particular tool. It will be very difficult, or the deployment. This is a new terminology which you will come to know soon. The deployments and the maintenance, everything will be very difficult if you don't have the service running. Remember, for all the tools, there will be one service running, and you will find the service in SQL Server Configuration Manager, which is located in Start All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server, in the Configuration Tools folder in the SQL Server Configuration Manager. Now, how to confirm whether MSBI installation is properly done or not? So you need to have all the services that you have checked. If you check integration services, it should be there. Analysis service should be there. Reporting services, these are mandatory, and SQL Server. Okay. If these four are available, then that means all the tools that are required for MSBI project are properly installed in your computer. Along with this, you need to have one more thing, that is BIDS, B-I-D-S. That is the short form, and the full form of the same is Business Intelligence Development Studio. You will find the same in the same path, Start All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server 2008. In that, you will find an option called BIDS, that is Business Intelligence Development Studio. What I'm highlighting here, you can see SQL Server Business Intelligence Development Studio. It's not easy to call the full name every time, so people call it as BIDS. So I'm going to refer it as BIDS from here onwards. I'm not going to use the full name for this one. So this one needs to be installed. You have a BIDS installed, you have the services installed, and services are running. So this is, we are good to go, right? Now let's see a little bit about the services. This is one place where you can find only SQL Server related services. You can see the group is all the services belongs to SQL Server. You can find all the services that are running in your computer in another place. That is, if you go to the run command, you know, right, Windows R will take you to this Windows plus R run command. Services.msc is the command which will list you all the services that are running in your machine. What are the services that will be running apart from this? There will be hell of services for audio drivers, for your VLC player, for media players, and if you install some Yahoo Messenger, there will be service running. So services will be all the services will be listed if you go for services.msc command in run. Okay, and you can see Bluetooth service, there is one service running. If this is not running, then my Bluetooth will not work in the computer. In the same way, Bluetooth support services and so on, computer browser service, credential manager service. So for everything there will be a service, and mandatory services will by default running. All these services will be set to start on start of the computer. When you log into your computer, then automatically it will be started. But our intention is to see where the SQL Server services are running. If I go to yes, you can see the same set of SQL Server services, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is there. The same services are showing here, and few of them are running and few of them are not running. For example, agent is not running. SQL Server agent is not running, and the same here, if you see the agent, it is stopped, it is not running. So agent, we will discuss about this agent when we talk about the deployment of SSIS packages. That is where we need agent. So till then, just forget about it. Don't concentrate. Don't worry much about it. So in the same way, you can either start the service here or stop the service or pause the service or restart, just like in your tape recorder. You'll have so many buttons, right? Start, stop, pause, restart. Okay. Now let's see all those options. If you right click on this, it will give you the options. Now it is running mode. That is why the stop is enabled. The remaining things are disabled. The start is disabled. Pause is disabled. Resume is disabled, and restart is enabled. So you can restart or you can stop it. This is already running. So the same options. This is stop. This particular SQL Server agent is in stop mode. So only start is enabled. So this is already in stop mode. So if you want to start it, you just click on start. It will start the service, but it takes some time. It depends on your server configurations. So now it is running. You can see SQL Server agent is running, but here it is still showing as stop. If I refresh the service, you can see it is running. So if I want to make use of the option that is provided by SQL Server agent, then I have to make sure that the service is running. And let me show you an example. Let's say this is our SQL Server. I'm stopping the SQL Server. Stopping the service will also stop agent. Okay, no problem. I'm going to stop it. Let's see. Okay, it is stopped now. You can see both the agent is stopped and SQL Server. These two are interrelated. These two are related. That's why it is stopped. It has stopped the SQL Server agent too. Now, this SQL Server service is mandatory one to run SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. I hope you guys remember the Management Studio. Yesterday, I showed you by connecting to Management Studio, and I showed you the databases, and in that I've showed you the tables, right? So now, this service needs to be running to make use or to write a to create a new database or to retrieve the data from a table or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to deal with the database, this service needs to be running. Now let me go to SQL Server Management Studio, which will be available in the same folder, Microsoft SQL Server 2008 under all programs. Let me connect to that. So here you can see this is the SQL Server Management Studio. I'm connecting to that. Let me give my ID and password. Okay, no ID and password. This is Windows authentication. This is very fine. If I click on connect, it has to connect. It connected in last session, right? But now it is taking time. It is checking whether a service is running to connect to the database engine. Let's see how much time it is going to take. It will search throughout the computer and then it will say the service is not running. Please check it. A network related or instance specific related something with SQL Server. The issue is the server was not found or was not accessible. So whenever you get this issue, you have to blindly go to the services and check whether the service is running or not. If you are new to SQL Server, if you get this issue, don't get panicked. Just read the issue carefully. Cannot connect to Rupesh 71. That means the server might not be running. Sorry, the service might not be running. So what you need to do, you have to go to the services in SQL Server Configuration Manager. Just right click if it is in stop mode and start the service. Once the service is started, it's still in the process. Now the service is started. Now let me try to connect. So I click on connect, it connected immediately. Why? Because the driving one for the SQL Server is the service that I have started now. So in this fashion, now you can see the agent is not running. So that is why it is showing stopped or agent XPs are disabled. Now if I start the agent, SQL Server agent, then automatically it will start there. It will be available for us. You can see now it is saying it's available. So all the options that are available under agent can be used only when the agent service is running. Similarly, all the database related services, all the database related options like databases, security, server objects can be used only when SQL Server service is running. In the same way, if you want to deploy a report using SSRS, then you need to have this reporting services running, and analysis services needs to be running for deploying SSAS projects, and for integration projects you need to have integration services running. So the start mode, you will have three different options. One is you can set it by going to the properties. You can see here in the service, the start mode, it is either automatic. Automatic means whenever you log into your Windows by giving your ID and password, then it will be automatically started. And it will be disabled, sorry, you can set it to manual. That means whenever you log into your computer, it won't start. It won't start the service. You have to come here, or you have to go to services.msc and right click and click on start. That means you have to do it manually. It won't do automatically. It won't happen automatically. Whenever you log into the Windows, it won't happen. Why? Because you have set it to manual. And if you set it to disable, the third option, it will not start automatically. And even if you come to the services.msc or to the SQL Server Configuration Manager, you will not find the option on the right click. Let me show you an example. I disable the service, SQL Server Integration Services, and let me stop it once. Now if you see, the service is disabled and stopped. If I right click, I don't have an option to start. So when I set the service to the disable mode, then I cannot start it manually, and it also won't start when the Windows is started. So what you need to do to start the service is you have to go to the properties again, go to the service and set either to automatic or manual. It depends on your wish. If you want to start the service whenever the Windows starts, then you can set it to automatic, else set it to manual. The only difference, the major difference is by default all the services will be started if you set it to automatic, and it may take more time than normal to load your Windows screen to show your desktop. When you switch on your computer, it will take more time. Why? Because it has to start all the services one by one, because you set it to automatic. If you set it to manual, the Windows screen will appear immediately just like that, and then you need to come here and start all the services manually whenever you need it. So that's the difference between, and this is about the services. If you check this once and if all the services are running, or if you are we are going to discuss about analysis or integration services, and I'm not going to discuss about reporting services in this month. I know pretty sure. So what I can do here is I can stop this service and I can set it to disable. Because I'm not going to use it, then why I have to set it to automatic, and it will start automatically whenever I log into the computer. So now I set it to disable. It will be in disable mode until I change it to either automatic or manual. In the same way, analysis services, I'm not going to use it in near future, like at least this week I'm not going to use this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to set the start mode to manual. Whenever I need, I'll come and I will start it. Okay. And the third one is agent. I'm not going to use the agent at least in this month. So let me stop it so that it will improve the performance. Whenever I log into the computer, it will not take much time to start the service. So it is already set to manual. So this is about the services. Now let's see. Let's start with SSIs, right? Let's start with SSIs. Before going to the SSIS, we need to discuss about one important option in SQL Server. When you install SQL Server, you will get a part of with the same installation, that is import and export wizard. It was earlier DTS, and now it changed a lot, and finally now it has been added as import and export wizard in SQL Server. Before going to that, what is the job of SSIS? Yesterday in last discussion we discussed about it. The job of SSIS is to pull the data from many sources and push it into one destination, right? It can be n number of sources or only one source also. It depends on the requirements. It's not mandatory that every time there should be hundreds of databases which needs to be moved to one destination. Sometimes there will be only one database for which you need to create integration services project to move to the destination. Can you tell me an example where there will be only one database moving to the another database, and what is the required? What is the why we need it? When you have data in one database, why you need to move it to another database? Can you guys go for try for an example? The question is, I told you that SSIS is mainly used for moving the data from multiple sources to one destination, and this will not be the case every time. Okay, the case sometimes it will be only from one source to one destination you will be moving the data. What is the case? As people said while moving the history. So if you take a banking side, there will be lots and lots of transactions happening on daily basis, right? Transactions is nothing but if I withdraw money from the bank, that's a transaction. If I check the ATM balance in the ATM, that's a transaction. If I call the customer care and I ask, my name is Rupesh and this is my mail ID, please confirm how much balance is there in my account, that's a transaction. So what bank people will do is they will maintain only 3 months of data or 6 months of data in the current database and move all the data into the data warehouse where the history will be maintained. Okay, they don't maintain all the data in the databases. If you go to the bank or deposit, what is the first thing you will do? You will just fill the form and you will submit it, and what people will do is they will try to check what is the balance in your account. So they need to connect to your database, connect to the database to check your records, right? If you have all the data in this database where they are connecting to, then their application will not work. As I told you, when the data grows, it will take a lot of time to retrieve the result. So what people will do is periodically they will move all the historical data into the data warehouse, and they will keep only the fresh data in the database. That is why if you try to get the bank statement, it will give you only for 1 month or 2 months or hardly 3 months. If you want beyond that, you have to raise a request and you will get it after half an hour to 1 hour. So first 3 months, it will give it from here. If you ask for 6 months, then it will go to the historical database and it will query it and it will send it to you through mail. Okay. So this is how, in this case, if you see, the source is one database, the destination is one database, but we need SSIS package to move the data periodically from the source to the destination. This is one case. Another case is in SSIS, you need to move data from many sources to one destination. This is another case, right? Now, the major in both the cases, what is the most important thing to understand or to concentrate here is, this is your SSIS solution. That means SSIS package, let's say SSIS project. What is the source for this? What is the source for this SSIS package? The source for this one is a data store, that is nothing but database. What is the destination for this? Destination of your SSIS project is again a database. We call it as data warehouse, where we will maintain all the historical data. Why I'm telling is, the most important point in SSIS is the source is a database and the destination is also a database. Okay, you need to connect to the source, pull the data and push it into the destination. Now let's see about the import and export wizard. This particular point, whatever we have discussed now, is very important for this import and export wizard. By name, you can easily say what that import and export wizard will do, what it will do, what an import and export wizard will do. You can go for a guess, right? As the name says, import means it will import into it. Export means it will export from it. Okay, it will export to some other place, or it will import into it from some other place, right? It's like data movement from a source to destination. Now, let's see where this import export wizard available and how to make use of it. The import and export wizard is available in many places. Let me show you a couple of places. If you go to SQL Server, my computer, C drives, program files. If you go to, this is how the installation path you have to go to. If you install SQL Server, if you go to you have to go to C, program files, and Microsoft SQL Server folder will be there. And you can see something 100 or one of these is DTS, and where is that import export wizard? Somewhere here will be fine. You will find it. Yeah, import export wizard. I have never used this place. That's why let me search for it. I'll let you know where the folder is. So you have to go to SQL Server, and somewhere here you will find an exe file. If you run that, it will open the import and export wizard. If not, there is another place where you will find the import and export wizard. That is one place. I'll give you the path. I really forgot that. No one will come here and check it. At least myself, I never goes to this folder to open the import and export wizard. Why? Because it will be readily available in Start, All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server. In that, you can find two options like one import and export wizard for 32-bit, and you will also find for 64-bit. It depends on your system computer. If your system is 64-bit, better go with the 64-bit. My system is 64-bit computer, and you can find the same by going to the My Computer properties. If you don't know what bit computer is yours, you can go to the My Computer, and if you go to the properties, it will give you what bit operating system is and 64-bit operating system. So I'll open import export wizard of 64-bit. You can see here the import and export data of 64-bit. You will find it in Start, All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server, whatever the version you have installed. Now click on it. It will launch the import and export wizard. You can see the name of the SQL Server import and export wizard. The first page, it will have the description what this is meant for. Now click on next. If you don't want to show this page, the first page again and again, you can check this for first time. And next time onwards, whenever you use this, it won't show. Whenever you open this import and export wizard, it won't show you this page. It will directly take you to the next page. Okay. Now, what we are going to do? Are we going to export or import? Just tell me one thing. Let's go with one thing first. Okay, first let me export. I'll tell you why I'm going for export first, and then I'll go to import part. So exporting, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to export the data from a table in SQL Server to a text file or something like that. Okay. So what will be my source? So I'm exporting. That means my source is my SQL Server here. The data that is present in SQL Server. If you see the first one, the data source, you have different options like flat file. That means you can connect and get the data from a flat file. Flat file means these notepads or CSV files. You can use analysis services as a source. You can use remaining so many are there. ODBC, it helps in connecting to most of the relational databases. ODBC, okay. Oracle, this is for Oracle, this is for SQL Server, but .NET Framework Data Provider. These are all the providers. Providers, it's just like service. How the service for integration services we have seen a couple of minutes back, same way providers will help in providing all the options that are required for connecting to the particular database type. Now if I go for Microsoft OLEDB provider for SQL Server, that means it will help me in connecting to the SQL Server. This will have all the required functionality which helps in setting the connection. I told you this SSIS package is nothing but source connection and destination connection and moving the data between source and destination. Now my intention is to export the data from SQL Server, so I'll go for either SQL Server native client or I can go for both OLEDB provider for SQL Server. Both will serve the same purpose. And next option is server name. Server name is nothing but where you have installed the SQL Server, or where is the SQL Server available, where is the database available, from where it can pull the data and export it into some other location. So where it is present in my local computer, so I have to give the server name. Server name, as I told you in last session, is nothing but the computer name. You can go to my computer and go to the properties of the computer where you have installed and the database is present. So in my local computer I have a database, that's why I have given my local computer name. And the third one is authentication. I told you, you need to be authenticated before logging in or before making use of the database, or before reading the data from a database, or before inserting the data into the database. You need to be authenticated. Without authentication, it won't allow you to go in. There are two types of authentication. One is Windows and another one is SQL Server authentication. Windows authentication means you don't need to pass credentials. Like you don't need to pass ID and password. If you have an access, your name will be added in the access list, and then you will get access to that. SQL Server authentication, you need to pass the ID and password. ID will be defaulted to SA, and password whatever you will give while installing the software. When you install the SQL Server software, it will ask you what kind of authentication mode you want. You want Windows or mixed mode. If you set it to mixed mode, then you will type some password. Just remember that. Don't forget the password, whatever you are going to give there. I have given some password. Let me try the same. Once I give ID and password, now you can see it is listing all the databases. Let me try giving wrong password. And this is not right password, correct password. I have removed one character. I have to refresh it. Sorry. Now here it is saying login failed for user SA. I have not given correct password. That means I am not the correct user. I am not a user who has access to this particular database. Now I have given the correct password. Again I am getting the databases. Here I have to select the database from where I am gonna pull the data and export it into the destination. So the first page is set. Choose the data source. Source means from where I am gonna get the data to export, right? I said the server, the data source as SQL Server, and this is the server name. That means the computer name where I have the database. And authentication, I can set either Windows or SQL Server, and I set SQL Server just to demonstrate. Here I have given ID and password, and finally I have selected the database from where I am gonna get the data to export. So we set the client, source here. What is the next step? The source connection. If you see this step, what the first page is doing here is, it is setting the connection to the source from where you are going to get the data to export to the destination. So first step is done. What is the next step? You have to specify to where you are going to export. Right? You need to specify that where you are going to export the data. So you can export to another table in SQL Server, or you can export to Oracle if you have installed in your local, or if you have access, or you can export to analysis services. You can export to flat file. Let's go with flat file destination. Flat file destination means I'm going to export the data to a notepad now. Okay. Once I select this server, once I select this provider, then automatically the options are changed. So for pushing the data into a flat file, I need to provide this information, whatever the information that it is and that is showing here. I need to provide it. The first thing is I have to provide what is the file name to which I have to push the data. I'll name it as sales data is the file name, and there is no such file created in my desktop, but I have just given the name and click on open. So this is the path of the file name to which I'm gonna export the data. And local means this is what local settings. This is used whenever you are gonna make use of or concatenate the dates. If it is English United States, the dates will be taken according to the date format. And you know, Russian people will follow different date format and currency format, and UK people follow different currency format and date format. So this is used for that purpose. And Unicode means this is one type of data types. Like it takes, if you select Unicode, you will not have an option to select this code page here. If you uncheck this, then you have an option to select the code page. That means code page means a set of characters which it will allow. Don't concentrate much about this. It may lead to confusion. If you are new to this, then actually this is not required. If you are new to this, better leave this part for now. Anyhow, we will be discussing the same stuff in SSIS part. We are still in SQL Server import and export wizard, so lot more to go, and you will be getting the same stuff again and again. Unicode means there are two types of characters. One is Unicode and another one is non-Unicode. Non-Unicode means it will be particularly to a page. Okay, it can accept any kind of character. Unicode means it can accept any kind of character like Chinese, Japanese, whatever the language, whatever the character it is. But non-Unicode means it is specific, either to English or to Chinese. Any one code page you can select. So you can see there are so many code pages, right? So either you can select the Greek language, or you can select Turkish language, or you can select Arabic language, or any one code page, one type of characters will be accepted if it is non-Unicode. If it is Unicode, that means you can write, or you can it accepts any kind of language. Any language. Chinese language is different from English, right? Same Russian language. So it accepts a different language option. So we'll better leave it as is. And the next one is format. What type of format you want to set in the destination. So you'll be getting data, a table data, like this is what you'll be getting, right? You have table in SQL Server. It will be like this. And when you move it to the destination, how you want to show in the destination? The destination is a file here. The destination is not a table. The destination is a text file. So how you want to show? You have three different formats. One is delimited, and another one is fixed width, and third one is rag right. I'll show you the difference between all the three. Let me take a notepad. And let's say if it is fixed width, okay. The first column value is Rupesh, and second column value is Lokesh, third column value is Janai. Sorry, first column, third row value. Let's say the data is like this. And so the fixed width, what it will do is it will take the maximum character, maximum value, and it will give some extra space. So it will go up to here. This one also, it will not touch the next value up to here. So the value, the column width will be fixed. Okay, the column width will be fixed. And the next value will start from here, somewhere here. MBA, MCA, BTech, MTech. Now if you observe, this is fixed width. Even though the data, if you double click it, it will take from start to end. You can see what is the width of this particular cell. This is also fixed width. This is also fixed width. So the complete row, if it is fixed width, then it will store the data in this fashion. And here it will set some fixed width, and it will give some space, and then it will start the third one. This is my mobile number, and this is my mobile number. This is the mobile number, and this is the mobile. This is called fixed width. One of the type in which users want to store the data into the, when they move the data into Excel, text file. This is one of the format that users like to store. Second thing is delimited. Delimited means there will be some separator like semicolon, MBA, semicolon. This is the mobile number. If you see, first semicolon, until first semicolon, this is the first column value. This is the second column value. This is the third column value. You are delimiting. You are delimiting the column values, right? In a single row, you are delimiting the column values. Here it will be second row, Lokesh something, MCA, and this is his number. When I BTech, and this is his number. You can see this is called delimited one. Okay, the first one is fixed width. it don't care. I mean, it won't use any character to separate two column values. Here, it uses a delimiter. It can be comma, it can be semicolon, it can be hyphen, it can be tilde, whatever you wish to. You can select that. And the third thing is ragged right. So it is just like fixed width. It will be like this, but the last column will not be fixed width. Last column will end wherever it is, the value is ending. If you see, even though the value is ending here, it is going up to here. Why? Because I have, this is set to fixed width. The same is the case with the first column, but the last column, if you see, it ends at the next point where the value ends. So there will not be any fixed width for the rightmost column. We call it as ragged right option. So you can select any one of these options. If you select to fixed width, you will not have anything. And if you select to delimited, then in the next session and next pages, you need to select what is your delimited. Let's go with the delimited, and we will see the other option too. Okay, in the next case. And the text qualifier, we will discuss about it. Column names in the first data row means if whatever the column names that are present in the table will be copied to the first row of the file. Let me select that, click on next. Let me remove the diagram, whatever I've done. Now, it is asking from where you want to get the data. Is it a query or a table or a view? If I select the first option, copy data from one or more tables or views, that means I've selected the source here, right? So I hope you still remember. In this source, from where I have to get the data, is it a query or table or view? Or do you want me to write my own query? Own query means I have to write my select statement. If I select this option, I need to select the table name. That means this option will help me, it will be useful when I want to get the complete data that is present in the table. This is useful when I want to filter it. I can write my own query, like select star from employee table, where employee ID is equal to 200. This is not the case in this one. If I select this, it will ask me to select the table. What is the table which you want to move to the destination? So here, this is asking me to select the table. Let me select this table. I've set it as sales data, right? So let me select fact internet sales table. That is one of the table which is having sales information. So fact internet sales I have selected. Here it is asking for row limiter and column delimiter. Okay. What is row delimiter and what is column delimiter? Column delimiter will say what delimiter needs to be given for the values between two columns in the same row. Row delimiter means once the row is ended, what you want me to do. What is the delimiter you want me to do? I'll show you with an example. Here, this means it will go to the next line. If you select CR and LF, it will go to the next line. If you give semicolon, and these are different options, line feed, and this is curtain something is there, and colon if you want to give colon, if you want to give tab, you can give tab, you can give vertical bar if you want to give vertical bar. But for row delimiter, 99.99% cases they'll go for CRLF. Why? Because it will take you to new line. Once the row is completed, it will take you to new line. But the column delimiter, you can give whatever you wish to. Comma, separator. Let me give vertical bar. So between two values in the row, the vertical bar will be placed. You can see the preview here. This is the data. Select star from fact internet sales. This is the table I have selected, and this is the data that is present in the table. Good. And edit mappings means it will set the mapping from the source and destination. Okay, this is the source, and this is the destination, and this is the data type, and the remaining step. If you want to change the column name, you can change it. Product key is there, right? Product key, I can set it as product key. And order date key, I can change the destination column name if I wish to, but I cannot change the source. Why? Because it is fixed. I'm pulling the source and pushing to destination. So destination is in my control. I can play with the destination but not with the source. I've selected product key, I've selected order date key, I've selected due date key, and all these options I've selected. And if you observe, I have selected a file sales underscore data or something which is not available, so automatically the create destination file is selected, right? The file I have selected as the destination. Let me click on OK. Let me go take you back. You see, this is the destination. I have given C user super desktop sales underscore data dot text is the file to which I want to move the data, which is actually not available, right? If you go and see here, it is actually not available there. So that is why automatically in the mappings part, it is selected like a create destination file is selected. If the file is already available, then these two options will be enabled. The second one and third one. If you see the second option, delete rows in the destination file. So whenever you load it, if there is any data already present, delete it and then load it fresh. Or append rows to the destination file. That means already if already data is there, then continue appending to the same file. I'll show you that one too. Okay. Oops, build version. It has gone to the wrong table. Flat file destination is fine. This is fine. This is wrong. Let me select packaging and sales. Okay. Edit mappings. I've changed one simple thing, right? Fraud key. Let me change it again. Click on OK. Click on next. So I've set the source. I've set the destination. I've selected the source table. I've set the destination to create a file. Now, the page here, if you see run immediately, means it will run immediately and it will load the data. Once I click on finish, it will run immediately and it will push the data immediately. If I want to save this package for future use, then I can save the package. I can save it in SQL Server or file system. File system means somewhere in your folder in your computer. SQL Server means it will be copied to MSBI in the SQL Server. We will discuss about a lot about it. Let me select file system and the protection level. We have 5 different protection levels here. The first thing is do not save sensitive data. That means the connections and all will not be saved. Like I have given my password, right? SQL Server password, SA and some password is given, right? So nothing will be saved. Whenever you run this package again and again, you need to provide everything. That is a risky one. That is a time consuming one. And second thing, encrypt sensitive data with the user key. That means I'm the Rupesh who logs in, and if I log in again with the same ID into the computer and if I execute it, it will execute. If you log in with your ID into my computer and if you try to execute, then it will erase all the sensitive data. You need to provide the sensitive data information. Okay. Third option is encrypt sensitive data with a password. It will set a password. If you know the password, you can run the package. If I know the password, I can run it. If the person who don't know the password can't execute the package. Fourth one is encrypt. It is similar to the second one. Encrypt all data with user key. Here, all the data will be encrypted with the user key. That means if I logs in again, then only the package will be run, or else for other users who logs in with their IDs into my computer and try to execute this package, they cannot do it. The same way, the last one, encrypt all data with password. So the complete data will be encrypted, and if you provide the password, then only it will allow you to execute it. Let me select the first one. If I select the third one or the fifth one, then you have to provide the password here. Okay. Let me select the first one. Sorry, second one. Click on next and name of the package. Sales data run. This is the name of the package, and if you want to provide any description, just provide the description here. Okay. This package. Sorry. This package is used to run. Is used to load data from fact table. Sales table in ADV works to a text file in desktop. Okay, this is I've given some description, and this is the place where the file will be saved. I can set it to a different path. I am setting it to desktop. Let me save the package in desktop. Click on next. Now this page will say what I have done till now. The source location is this server. Provider is this guy, that is SQL Server native client. Copy rows from this table to this file. The new target will be created and the package will be saved to this path. The package will also run immediately. I have checked both the options here. And provider map into this XML. Okay. If you click on finish, it starts initializing the data flow, initializing connection, and you can see everything is succeeded, and 60,398 records that are present in your SQL Server table has been moved, it has been exported to your text file, and you can see the report, what it has done. Initializing the data flow and validation, it has checked for this saving success and everything. The complete report will be there. You can save this report if you want, or if your manager or if your lead has given this task, then you can save the report and you can send the report as email or whichever version. And this is done. Close. Let me go and see the file sales data. If you see, the first column is having, the first row is having column names as I checked the checkbox in while creating the package import export wizard, and the delimiter I have given is vertical bar, and at the end of the line the row delimiter I have given to new line. So that is why at the end of the first row it is coming to the next line, and end of the second row it is coming to the third line. That is the row delimiter. Row delimiter I have given like, row delimiter means at the end of the row what it has to do. I ask the server to go to the next line. So that is the same happening here. And column delimiter means in one row what it has to do between two column values. I said give vertical bar and it has loaded the data as expected. And you can see the package is stored here. Sales underscore data underscore run. This is the package name I have given, and it is saved to the desktop, the file where I have given, the path where I have given. Now we have done like exporting data from exporting data from SQL Server to Notepad, right? Now let me go back to the same guy, import export wizard, and let me try to export the data from the sales data text file to another text file. Okay, I am exporting the data from one text file to another text file. Okay, for that, what is the source here? It's a text file. So flat file source, and here, oops, 1 second. Okay, so where is the file that has data which needs to be moved? That is the sales data. This is the one which is having data, and I selected, so automatically you can see header row delimiter, header rows to skip, and everything will be there. Column names on the first row, and if you go to the columns page, here you can see row delimiter is space, that is new line, and column delimiter is vertical bar. It read the data from the file. I have given the path here, right? I have given the path of the file, so it read the data and it identified, okay, this is the vertical bar you have, okay, as a column delimiter, and new line is the row delimiter, and this is how the data looks. Okay. Now, if you go to the general and if you see header rows to skip option is there, you can specify some 500 or something like that. Okay, if you set this to 5,000, then first 5,000 rows will not be read. If you set it to 6,000, first 6,000, the number of top rows that needs to be skipped, if you want to set anything like that, by default it will be 0. That means pull all the data from the text file. You can set it to 0, or you can set it to some value which will help in skipping the values. And this text qualifier is, sometimes people will store the data in such a way that they will provide double quotes for everything like this. In few cases I am saying, okay, they will be providing double quotes like this. and if you go and see the data, you can see double quotes are coming, right? You can see the double quotes are coming here. And if you don't want to get such kind of data, you can say text qualifier means that is a valid and you can remove it, then you can set that particular text. I've set the double quotes here, and that is why that is removing while pulling the data. So that's a text qualifier. That means which you can remove it. That's a valid text, but you can remove it. So you can see earlier it was you have double quotes in your file, but still it is not showing. Why? Because I have set it to set it under text qualifier. That means this particular thing don't pull into the result set. Okay, you can set only one text qualifier. You cannot set multiple text qualifiers. Okay, and remaining options, if you see here, we have discussed all these options in our couple of minutes back when we discussed about export option in the import export utility. Now let me go to the columns. This is pretty clear one, row delimiter, whatever it is there in that file, and this is the column delimiter, and reset columns is just for a check, that's it. And in the advanced option, you will find all the columns and its data types. So the data type will be decided by seeing the first 50 or 100 rows, that's it. Let's say you have 1 million rows and first 5 rows are integers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and sorry, first 50 rows. After that it is text. It cannot decide the data type, right? If you have any doubt that whether this data type, if you see the prod key, the data type is string it has taken. The order date key, it has string. So it has taken some data type by analyzing top 50 rows or top 100 rows or top 200 rows. If you want to get the suggestions, then you can go for the suggestions. See, number of rows, it is taking first 100 rows and it is deciding what kind of data is available in each column. Okay. If you specify 1000 rows, if you want to check for top 10,000 or top 1 lakh rows to identify whether the data type, then you can set it here. Okay, suggest the smallest integer data type. This is normal one. If it is an integer column, don't give the big int or the one which occupies more memory. Try to suggest the smallest one. And also for the real data type, which means which has this decimals and all. And identifying the Boolean values. If it is true or false, then identify it as Boolean value. Or else some guys will maintain 1, 0 for Boolean. 1 means true, 0 means false. So you can also set this. I'll show you an example for this one also if you want. And pad string columns. I don't have any clue about this. Sorry guys. I'll let you know about this pad string columns. I've never tried this. Okay. So these are the different options when you click on suggest columns, and if you click on preview, it will give you the preview. And we have seen one option, right? Data rows to skip. Okay, header rows to skip. The same option in the preview is available. Data rows to skip. If you want, if you provide 2, it will skip first 2 rows. Now it is coming from 310. Now let me set it to 3 rows. Then 310 also should not come. It should come from the next value. You can see it is coming from 346. Let me set it to 5. The 346 should not come. So it will skip that many number of rows. If you want to set any skipping part, if you want to skip any rows, the top rows, then you can make use of this option. Now I have set the source. The source is set, right? Now let me go to the next to set the destination. The destination again is a flat file source, flat file destination. Here the file name, what I will do here is I'll create a new one, sales data underscore back. This is the file name I'm giving, and the options, the same options, column names in the first row, and this is let me set it to delimited. And here row delimiter, I'm not giving this, I'm giving vertical bar. And the column delimiter, I'm giving comma separator. And the remaining stuff, let it be like this. And click on next. I'm not saving the package this time, I'm running immediately, and I don't want to save this particular package. Click on next and click on finish. You can see it is read 60,300. It has read 60,393 records, and it has pushed to the destination. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I want to show you the row delimiter. If you see, this is the end of the row, first row. After that, it is not going to the next line. It is giving one vertical bar. Why? Because I have set the vertical bar as the row delimiter. This is not the best way of doing, remember. The best way is going to the next line. It is not readable, right? So this is how you can play with import export wizard. You can import and import data from one SQL server to another, or one text file to another, or SQL to text, or text file to SQL server, and so on. Now, let me take the same guy again to demonstrate one more import and export. This time text file to text file, but a slight difference. The source is text file, and I'm setting the source as the newly created one, backup one, and automate column rows on the first data row, and automatically it will identify. Yes, this is not correct. This is what is the delimiter we have set? We have set vertical bar, and this is the comma, and if you refresh data, you can see. Okay, now this is fine. Click on next. The destination I am setting it to flat file, but the destination which is already available. So this is sales data I am selecting here, and delimited, everything is fine. Column names on first row. Click on next, and here in the edit mappings, you can see the remaining two options are enabled. Why? Because I am selecting the file which is already available. So here I'm selecting to append the rows. Instead of delete and insert, delete the existing rows and insert, I'm setting it to append the rows. Click on OK. Good. Click on next. Run the package immediately and click on finish. You can see 60,900 and 60,393 records. The file size, based on file size only you can identify. Let me open it. Now it should have 1,20,000 rows or something around that. So this is how you can use import export wizard to move the data from one source to from source to destination with ease. It is even a fresher who don't know anything about computers, a person who has little bit knowledge or who knows English can easily work on it. Import and export wizard. Let me do one more thing, importing the data into SQL Server table from a text file, the last check. So for that, what I need a table to be created, right? The first thing is I need a table to be created. Let me do that using import and export wizard. So I'm going to import and export wizard again. Here the source is, what is the source? It is flat file, and the file is present in, say, in desktop, that is sales underscore data. The columns, everything is set. This is perfect. Perfect. Click on next. The destination is SQL Server. Okay, this time I will go with Windows authentication, where I don't need to provide the ID and password. Okay, this is the database where I want to push all the data from the file to the table. Click on next. Okay, this is the source and this is the destination. So it is saying sales data. The file name is sales data, so by default it is taking the same. I can give it as I wish. And in edit mappings, if you go, here it is saying create destination table. There is no destination table with that name in the database, so it is asking whether I need to create it or not. And you can edit the SQL server. This is how it will be. Column 0, column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. If you want to provide any proper column names, you can use it. Sorry, you can do that here. Destination, right? Prod key and something. For now, let me set it to 0. Yeah, you can type the proper names and or I can do one thing. Wait, where is the source? If I set it to if I check this one, column names in the first data row, then all the column names will be fetched, and it will be easy for me to map. You can see prod and everything is set, and drop and recreate destination table if it is available. Enable identity insert. If there is any identity column in your SQL table, it will be enabled. There is no such column, so leave it for now. Click on next. Run immediately. If I click on run immediately, I don't want to. Let me save the package. It may be useful. Okay. So I'm saving the package, file system. I'm selecting the same option what I've selected for the earlier package. File to table package. Okay. It will be stored in. I'll set it to desktop. Fine. Click on next. This is what I have done till now. Click on finish. Now it is reading data from the file and it is copying the data by creating a table called sales data. Now let's see whether the table is created in the database or not. This is the database I have selected. Select star from sales data. The table is created and you can see it is having 1,20,792 records, which is exactly double to the records of the table that is present in the from where we have pulled the data. Select star from fact internet sales. This is the table which we have used to export the data into first text file, right? So this should be half of it. Why? Because I moved the data from here to one text file and from there to another text file, and from the second text file to first text file I appended the data, and totally the double data I pushed into the sales data table. So this is how, using this import and export wizard, you can play with the data from moving from one server to another server, or one file to another file. And the same option you can find when you right click on any database. This is a database, right? When you right click on it, under task you can find import data and export data. The same thing is split into two. The import and export wizard is split into two: import data and export data. In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about what is the difference between this import data and export data compared to the import and export option available under Microsoft SQL Server folder in all programs. Okay, and if you observe, we are missing one more thing, one more major thing here. We are just pulling the data from the source and pushing it to the destination, and we are not transforming anything. There is no option to transform. There is very little scope to transform. We cannot transform much of the data, right? So that is the major disadvantage which is covered in SSIS. SSIS, you can play with the data when it is in pipeline. That means after pulling and before pushing into the destination, you can play with the data. That is the advantage SSIS is providing for us. So this import and export wizard is just a startup for the startup, and it will be used only when you need to do a quick pull and push from source to destination. But this is not the real one which will be used, which we will be using in big projects, big data migration projects. So that's it for today's session. Until tomorrow's session, we will see, we will have a quick look at import data and export data options here, and then we will jump into the business intelligence development bits, business intelligence development studio, to see how to create SSIS projects and what is the difference between import and export wizard and the SSIS projects. So thank you guys. Catch you tomorrow, same time.